All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Judge Lal, and we are going to commence with our Fulton State Expedited Accusation Calendar. These are a list of criminal misdemeanor cases in which the individual, after being recently arrested and booked at the Fulton County Jail, the case would be formally accused by the prosecutor. That would be by the Solicitor General's Office of Fulton County. Hence, the case is now bound over to the State Court of Fulton County, and this would be the defendant's initial appearance before a judicial officer. And the cases are addressed on our, please mute your screen, 74351. Thank you. When I address each case on a one-on-one basis, I will inform the defendant of what's the new accusation case number, the charges brought against the defendant, appointed counsel if one is necessary, as well as the bond. Some cases may need to have the bond revisited if one has not been previously set. In the meantime, if a individual is accused of one or more criminal misdemeanor offenses, I'm going to let the gentleman have a seat as soon as he's done. All right. If you are a defendant accused of one or more criminal misdemeanor offenses, please remember your rights. The first one is that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts of your case, especially during the course of this virtual court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. I do see a couple of private attorneys, and I will address those. The order of the inmates is set by the deputies, so there is no specific order in place. I'll just wait pursuant to the deputy. Deputy, who do I have in courtroom 2 at the present time?
Honor, we have Mr. Burnett right now. I don't have the position number, but can we do him first?
Certainly. Mr. Jordan Brock Burnett is accused on case 22 CR 000141J of 2 counts of reckless conduct and 1 count of willful obstruction of an officer from a January 10th, 2022 incident. Mr. Burnett, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney will be, is it Mr. Spisman?
Yes, Judge. Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Spisman, I'll first hear Mr. Burnett's GCIC from pretrial. Mr. Tucson, good afternoon.
First arrest, what I have.
All right, thank you. Ms. Arnold, she's the assistant prosecutor. What is the state's position on bond?
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant has a current bond set at $11,000. It's $10,000 for the first count of reckless conduct and a $1,000 surety bond for count 3 for the willful obstruction. The state is requesting that the bond remain the same, Your Honor, and that for count 2 that we've added another charge for reckless conduct, that there be a $1,000 surety bond in that as well, Your Honor, for a total of the $12,000 surety.
All right, so yeah, go ahead, please.
We're also asking that there be no further contact with Mr. Taylor Buderus, last name spelled Buderus, and that there be a stay away from 2115 Newport Landing in Alpharetta, Georgia, and that the defendant have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Your Honor, we are requesting this because we believe that the defendant is a danger to the community, as he had accelerants on his person. When the officers arrived, they saw about a 4-foot tall fire burning on the rear patio, with the defendant standing with an accelerant in his hand, which the officer believed to look like a clear glass or a glass cleaner. There was also pet shampoo, WD-40, and a spray can of canola oil on the table near the patio, all of which are accelerants to the fire, Your Honor. And so for that reason, we are requesting the bond, in addition to the fact that when officers reached out to the defendant, I'm sorry, Your Honor, he did refuse to put his hands behind his back. when officers did attempt to detain him. So for these reasons, we are requesting that bond remain the same with the conditions as stated.
All right, thank you. Mr. Spisman?
Thank you, Judge. I can see it in my left-hand corner, but you'll see three people, Judge, and that's Mr. Burnett's mother, father, and fiance.
Mhm.
Judge, they would like to address the court because they have some significant concerns about Mr. Burnett's mental health. I don't know one way or another what to state about that. In terms of the bond, this is a first lifetime arrest, and he's 31 years old. He has good ties to the community. He clearly has family support. I don't necessarily know that the family has any issue with the amount of the bond, although normally I would say that this court is very high and this should be an unsecured judicial release. But nonetheless, the bigger concern, I think, is what you're going to hear from his family, Judge. We just want to make sure that there are safeguards in place so that Mr. Burnett might get some help if he needs it. So I'm going to let them unmute if that's okay, Judge, and just address the court about that issue because they've been communicating with the jail as well.
Mr. Could the host place?
Ansley Tucker.
Yeah, understood. Could the host place myself, Miss Arnold, Mr. Spisman, and the panel identified as Ansley Tucker in a virtual breakout, please? And Miss Paul.
Thank you.
Mr. Burnett, we will be back with you very shortly. Thank you. Ansley Tucker, if you see a request to join a breakout room, please click yes.
Can you hear us?
No.
Yeah, we can. Just
Oh,
wait.
okay.
You're good. You'll see, Faye, you'll see a little button pop up to click on.
Okay, we're not.
It'll take a second. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Is Mr. Jordan the host here? Yes. Let's see what's going on, Jordan. So, just give us a moment. The host is trying to place all the panels in a breakout.
Oh, sorry, Judge. Who did you need in the breakout room?
I need Ansley Tucker, myself, Justin Spisman, Miss Alexandria Arnold, and Miss Shelley Polk. You must have heard you ask. We are readdressing position number 3 with regards to Jordan Burnett. After a sidebar with both counsels in the case as well as the family of the defendant, bond is going to be set as follows. On the reckless conduct is a $10,000 surety bond. The willful obstruction is a $1,000 surety bond. The additional count of reckless conduct is a $10,000 signature bond through the jail. He cannot return to 2115 Newport Landing in Alpharetta, Georgia until further order of court. No illegal drugs, no alcoholic beverages, and no weapons and no firearms. He must be compliant with any prescription medication that's currently in place and any treatment, health treatment that is currently in place. We will revisit this case this Thursday, January 13, 2022 at 9 a.m. at the state all-purpose calendar. Thank you.
Come on, come on. Come on.
Francois, next case, please. Thank you, Mr. Burnett. We will see you on Thursday morning. Thank you. Who am I addressing, please?
Next, this is Mrs. McCauley.
Carrie McCauley, is that correct?
Yes, it is, Judge.
Hello, Your Honor.
All right.
Position 13.
All right. I have a gentleman here on Galaxy S20. Are you here for a particular case?
I think he's my attorney, David Gaunt. Can you hear us?
All right. We have a case with Carrie McCauley, 22 CR 000143G, position 13. Ms. McCauley, you've been accused of harassing communications from December 16, 2021. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. And do we have a public defense attorney who's representing Ms. McCauley?
I have an attorney who's right there, Gal.
Mr. Ghazi,
Ghazi.
Mr. David Ghazi is her attorney.
That
I
is
think
correct, Your Honor.
He's the 404 number, 4351. And he
Is
may
that the
also be
gentleman who's going
Galaxy,
in and out on that Galaxy phone?
Possibly.
All right, counsel, Mr. Ghazi, your audio is not connected to the Zoom conference. No, sir, no audio. Mr. David Ghazi is for Ms. McCauley. And if somebody can contact him and let him know, we have absolutely no audio.
Let me try calling him, Your Honor.
Yes, and his number is also on the Zoom screen, that 404-357-4351. I don't know if he needs to connect to both, but.
All right, let's unmute 404-357-4351. I don't know how he's got two devices going. Mr. Ghazi, if you want to unmute your other phone. Okay.
Mr. Ghazi says he's unable to do that, Your Honor.
All right,
But he can connect via phone.
let's do that.
Okay, so go ahead and connect via phone, please.
Unmute his phone, yeah.
Okay, so Your Honor, he was having difficulty calling in. He asked me, okay, and he just disconnected himself, but he had asked me to put him on speaker and he can try to talk through my speakerphone if that would be of assistance.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let's give that a try.
Oh,
Hi, Mr. Ghazi.
yes.
Your Honor, can you hear him?
Yes, I can hear him. Mr. Ghazi, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Unfortunately, I tried calling in the Zoom number and I was unable to connect.
You have another device under the number 404-357-43 something something. If you want to unmute that device.
I tried to unmute, but it
Okay,
wouldn't allow me to do
let's
so.
just go with what we have. All right, you have a client, Carrie McCauley, who's accused of harassing communications.
I do, yes.
All right. And so first I'm going to hear from the pretrial officer as to her GCIC. Mr. Tucson?
The second arrest. Last was 1979 for theft, larceny.
All right. And who is the prosecutor for this matter?
I am, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Falk, what's your recommendation?
State's recommendation, Your Honor, is a $3,000 signature bond, no further contact with Officer Ken DeSimone. That is Ken, common spelling, DeSimone, DeSimone, or any member of the Sandy Springs Police Department unless it is for an emergency situation. We are also asking for no drugs, alcohol, or weapons as provided. This was a situation in which the defendant was unhappy with the treatment of her mother's case, emailed the police department approximately 90 different times in 1 month, then proceeded, after they blocked her email address, to call multiple times, leaving messages up to 5 minutes long for the police officers. Finally, they got the city attorney involved. The city attorney, as well as a detective, advised the defendant to stop contacting members of the police department because it was getting to the point of harassment. And then Miss McCauley texted Mr. DeSimone, one of the officers, at 5 o'clock in the morning. And so at that point, that's when the police finally took out a charge on her again for harassing communications. She has not been accepted into pretrial, but we are pretrial diversion, but we are asking for them to consider her for pretrial diversion. Again, she has not been accepted at this time. I have sent the form to Mr. Ghazi, and that is why the state is making that recommendation.
All right. All right. Ms. Falk, if you'd like to place Mr. Ghazi on.
He is on. He's heard everything I've said, and he can feel free to respond at this
Go
time.
out for a minute. I'm on the phone. Please go out. Go out. Go out. Yes, Your Honor, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, Your Honor, there are several situations in this case. We at first want to say that we don't want to jeopardize in any way this $3,000 option of bond that has been offered by the state. But I would be remiss if I did not point out a few key factors in the bond situation with Ms. McCauley. This is her mother that we're talking about that is in Sandy Springs in this nursing home. And I have seen the pictures of her mother, and I don't understand how someone from the nursing home hasn't been arrested. They are pretty gruesome, bad bruising, a very bad situation with an elderly lady. So you can understand where my client's coming from with the contact with the police department. Now, in addition to this, she has contacted, I don't know, this was before I was involved in the case. I don't know how many numerous calls she made to them, but clearly she would want to have them deal with the nursing home. She has very limited criminal history. Her daughter is in law enforcement in Charleston. The Sandy Springs police department, and I heard the call, called her daughter and was talking about making a report to the Charleston Police Department about her daughter, which has nothing at all to do with this case. So there's a lot involved in the case as far as how Sandy Springs has handled it. If I were in the police department, which I'm not, and this is just theory, I would have Ms. McCauley and sit her down, and we would have a detailed discussion. And I think that would put an end to it. You didn't hear the state say that there was any kind of responsiveness from Sandy Springs. In addition to that, as far as personal factors, my client has periodic fever syndrome. I'm looking at that. This is an autoimmune deficiency disorder, and she's had this for a long time. It can make her have fevers, joint pain, abdominal pain, and also excessively anxious and that type of thing. I also have a letter from her physician that states that she's had COVID exposure in the spring, and she's not to be subjected to a vaccine given her problems with medications and the autodeficiency syndrome. So we have health conditions too, and Ms. Carrie was very concerned about her turn-in, about the anxiety, and I think she has been very anxious while she's been in, and we had hoped for her expedited release. But Your Honor, in lieu of all this, we would ask for a very minimal bond. But we don't want to, of course, jeopardize. We can't afford to jeopardize the bond that's been offered. But given the facts and circumstances and the way that the situation has progressed, and that we basically have a law-abiding citizen that got overly excited, maybe as far as her health condition as well, because of the treatment of her mother at the nursing home, that I have personally, I mean, I don't see how all of these bruising, and this could have been a factor of a fall or anything like that, and that precipitated this matter. So we'd ask that you take all of that into account in setting a bond for Carrie.
Bond is set at $5,000. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services. No illegal drugs, no alcoholic beverages, no weapons, and no firearms. Any contact with the Sandy Springs Police Department or with Officer DeSimone shall be made through counsel with regards to any issues regarding her mother or the nursing home. As we all know, if there are issues with regards to the care and treatment being rendered by a nursing home, that can be an administrative issue also that is addressed by the appropriate public agency in the state of Georgia. You could go to the Office of Regulatory Services at the Department of Health if you do believe that there is a bona fide issue with regards to the care and the treatment by a nursing home in the state of Georgia. But based on the warrant, the numerous calls and numerous text messages at inappropriate times, I'm going to require that all contact between Ms. Carrie McCauley and the Sandy Springs Police Department be handled through counsel only. Understood, with regards to the issues regarding her mother and the care or and regarding the nursing home where she is residing. Do you have any questions, Mr. Ghazi?
None at all, Your Honor. Thank you very much. And I will admonish Carrie accordingly, as her family will, and we'll hope to have a good result with this case. We thank the state for their offer.
Ms. McCauley, if you contact the police department with regards to the ongoing treatment that's being received by your mother, and you don't do it through your attorney, all they have to do is let pretrial services know, and you will be back in jail with a $5,000 surety bond. Presently, you do not have to pay, but if you don't comply with the conditions of the bond, you may risk coming back to jail and having to pay a significant amount of money in order to be released on bond. Do you understand, Ms. McCauley?
Yes, Your Honor. Do I have a chance just to say something, please?
I would not recommend it, because if you want to complain about the issues that you have with the Sandy Springs Police Department, you would have to do that through counsel.
Okay, I just wanted you to know that I was in touch with their attorney for the city, Kathy Williams, and I'd spoken to her 2 days before they arrested me, and we spoke for 3 hours and came to a resolution, I thought. And I didn't even do anything except ask the chief. I sent the chief an email to let him.
And I would pause you right there. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next court date for Ms. McCauley is going to be established by the division judge. Please make sure, Mr. Ghazi, you enter an appearance so that all notices will be sent to the correct place.
Can I have Mr. Ghazi's number, please? Can I have his number? I don't have his number. Somebody has it for me, please. Can I have his number? I don't have his number. I have nobody's number, Your Honor.
Mr. Ghazi, what's your phone number?
I don't have a phone.
It's 404
Mhm.
357 4351.
4351. I'll make a note of it on the bond order. Thank you.
I'd like to be able to call him, Your Honor, because I haven't been able to make a phone call to him. Thank you.
Ms. McCauley, you can make your phone call later. Thank you. Next case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next case is position 11, Mr. Joyner. You get a signature bond for free trial. Make sure you go.
Face the camera right away.
You're gonna sign yourself out. You don't have to pay nothing. Just make sure you show up to your court date and your pre-trial. No, pre-trial and show up to your pre-trial and your next court date, or they're gonna put a warrant out for your arrest. Okay?
We have Mr. Donovan Lamar Joyner, accused of 3 misdemeanor offenses: failure to keep drugs in an original container, possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce, and carrying a weapon, a firearm, without a valid license. First offense. This is allegedly from a January 10th, 2022 incident in accusation number 22 CR 000134F. Mr. Joyner, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Wanda Gant. Mr. Tucson, any priors?
Third arrest. Last arrest was on the 6th of this month in Rockdale County. Drugs not in the original container, suspended license, possession of drug-related objects, possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission, possession of a Schedule 5 controlled substance, misdemeanor possession of marijuana. Everything was dismissed.
It was dismissed?
Everything except for the suspended license. They reduced it to driving without a valid license conviction and a 2019 probation violation, not a conviction.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Long?
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
Our recommendation for this case is going to be a $500 surety for count 1, $500 surety for count 2, and a $1,000 surety for count 3, with a total of $2,000 surety, no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or firearms. The basis of our recommendation is he did have a very similar case, as pretrial mentioned, out of Rockdale County. I was able to contact the DA there and get a copy of the original warrant because a lot of the original charges that were dismissed sounded extremely similar to the case that we have here. The case from there was, again, a traffic stop. He had several pills labeled RDY that were red and white, very similar to our case. He had a gun under the passenger seat, which was a Glock with a magazine, very similar to our case. And he had marijuana that was in a glass pipe and a bag of marijuana. Just as in our case, he had a marijuana as well. So we do think that there is a possibility of a reoffense here, since the other prior case from Rockdale is extremely, extremely similar. And I understand that most of the charges were dismissed out of that, but we do think he could reoffend. And we were also concerned about the violation of probation, which was also out of Conyers or Rockdale County. And so for those reasons, we're asking for the surety bonds totaling $2,000. Thank you.
Was there any passengers in the vehicle? I couldn't tell from the warrant.
I did not see any indication of passengers, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Ms. Gant?
All right, good afternoon, Your Honor. Today I will be requesting a signature bond on Mr. Joyner's behalf. We heard from the state in pretrial that Mr. Joyner has not been convicted on any similar offenses relating to possession of drugs or weapons. Therefore, I am requesting a signature bond. If Your Honor determines that he isn't eligible, then a bond of no more than $300. Mr. Joyner is 21 years old. He is a lifelong Atlanta resident. He has family here, therefore he has community ties. He completed high school. He has been unemployed for the last 6 months, therefore he is unable to pay a high bond. Therefore, again, I would ask that you consider a bond total of no more than $300 if he's ineligible for a signature bond. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. On the drugs not in original container, that's going to be a $1,500 surety bond. The possession of marijuana is going to be a $500 signature bond through the jail. And the carrying a weapon without a valid license is a $1,500 surety bond. Total bond is $3,500. That is a split bond. Conditions to the bond is no illegal drugs, no alcoholic beverages, and no weapons and no firearms. And what that means is that you cannot have any firearms on your person. It cannot be anywhere within your reach. It cannot be in your home in which you reside. So if somebody else has a license to own a firearm and you live in that home, that person has to make sure that firearm is removed from the home, because you cannot live in under the same roof with a gun or guns. And also no firearms in any vehicle you occupy. If you happen to be in a vehicle and there's a weapon in there, the only person who's going to end up in trouble is you. It doesn't matter who owns the gun. All right. His next court date is going to be January 25th, 2022 at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Next is position 16, 17, 18. That's Mr. Tanner.
Yes. All right, we are addressing Brees Tanner. All right, and he has 3 cases. With regards to position 18, Brees Tanner 22 CR 000142B. I believe that was a cruelty charge. Ms. Falk or Ms. Duncan, can we confirm that the state has NOD'd that case?
Your Honor, actually what occurred was the cruelty to children charge was folded back into the charge it was actually destined for, which was 22 CR 00132B. So that is actually count 2. Mr. Newton over at the clerk's office was able to fix that for us. So now both charges are under that case number. I did put a chat in the out to everyone just to find out, because it wasn't on the calendar, who is handling receiving orders for Your Honor, because Mr. Newton has asked me to now null pros that last case number, position 18, the 142B, now that that cruelty has been folded into the 132B case.
Holly Bridgewater.
All right, I will send the order to Ms. Bridgewater. Thank you.
All right. So let me see if I can go through the cases. So let's start with position 16. We have case 22 CR 000132B. Brees Tanner, accused of 1 offense of battery domestic violence from a December 23rd, 2021 incident. Is that correct, Ms. Duncan?
Yes, and that is the one where the cruelty to children would be the second count.
And that's a count 2 in case ending in 132B. That would be cruelty in the 3rd degree, a misdemeanor offense. For the second case, position 17, 22 CR 000139B. Mr. Tanner is accused of battery domestic violence from a January 10th, 2022 incident. And that's the only charge in that case, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And with regards to position 18, and the case ending in accusation ending in 142B, that particular cruelty charge is going to be null pros as a duplicate charge. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Tanner, you have 2 open pending cases with a total of 3 separate misdemeanor charges brought against you. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts of your case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Ms. Wanda Gant. All right, Mr. Tucson, any priors, please?
This 4th arrest, 2013 trespass, it was dismissed. 2016 entering auto, it was reduced to theft by taking. 2019 probation violation for that theft by taking. Probation was revoked. That was out of Gwinnett. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor. As Your Honor is aware, this incident took place, the first incident, position 16, and position 16 with the battery, family violence, and cruelty to children took place on December 23rd, 2021 at 500 Northside Circle Northwest, apartment D4 at about 11:55 p.m. Officers were dispatched to the location, and upon arrival, they knocked on the door of apartment D4, but they were informed by the victim in this case, Miss Kiana Moss. That's Kiana, Kianna, Moss, common spelling. And she responded that the front door to her apartment had been jammed and that officers would have to come around the back to speak with her about what had happened. So officers did so, and upon making contact with Ms. Moss, they were advised that about 15 minutes before they got there, the defendant in this case, Mr. Tanner, had left. There was a verbal dispute because he lives in the apartment along with her minor son, MT. And this incident occurred because Ms. Moss told
the defendant in this case that he needed to spend more time with his individual son, they don't share a child, and not spend his free time sleeping, knowing that he only has a couple of days a week with his son. At that notion, the defendant got angry with Miss Moss. He began punching her around her body with a closed fist. He bit her on her right cheek and began pushing her towards the ground. All of this occurred in front of her son, the minor, Mr. MT, and it was verbal abuse as well. Pushing and shoving continued until Miss Moss was able to get up off of the ground and grab a kitchen knife to protect herself and her son. She actually cut her hand as well while holding the knife, trying to defend herself from Mr. Tanner in this case. And that is why the state is requesting the bond be set at $4,000. That is $3,000 for the battery, family violence, and $1,000 for the cruelty to children in the third degree. We ask that those be sureties based off the violent nature of this offense and the defendant's criminal history, and the risk of reoffense due to the fact that they did live together. We're asking for no further contact with the victim, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and 1-day anger awareness.
Okay. Well, he's got a second case, battery, domestic violence from January 10th. What's your recommendation there?
Yes, in this case, it occurred on January 10th, 2022, less than 20 days after the first incident. The victim in this case is again a Miss Kiana Moss, who is, like I said, the victim's live-in boyfriend. And in this case, police were dispatched by a third party after a report of a woman being beat by a man. And when police arrived to the location, both the defendant and the victim were in front of the apartment, and Miss Moss again stated that she had been attacked by her boyfriend, Mr. Tanner, in this case, after asking him about cheating. She presented with scratches to her left shoulder and another bite mark on her left forearm. She also had a scratch on the right side of her face. Your Honor, due to the violent nature of this offense and the proximity to the prior offense that we spoke of, the state is requesting a $5,000 surety bond, a stay away from the incident location, no further contact with the victim, no alcohol, drugs, weapons, and 1-day anger awareness.
All right, thank you. Ms. Gant?
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Brees Tanner is 30 years old. He was born in Bermuda, but has been in Georgia since 2005. He has family in Atlanta, including a brother and a nephew. Therefore, he has community ties. Mr. Tanner is the father of a 3-year-old son. He is currently employed at Momar Chemical Plant. He has been in that position for about 2 months, and he is at risk of losing his job if he is unable to be released. He informed me that he has only $200 to contribute toward bond for all of the charges. I have reached out to his parents. His parent informed me that he is on a fixed income, the father is on a fixed income, and therefore he is unable to contribute anything at this time toward bond. Your Honor, Mr. Tanner does not have any violent convictions that I heard, and I understand that he has 2 open cases. However, he is presumed innocent. He has informed me that regarding the incident on December 23rd, he denies being present at that scene. Therefore, he denies that allegation totally. With regard to the incident on January 10th, he states that he acted in self-defense. He states that Ms. Moss lit his tires, that she bit him, that she attempted to grab the steering wheel while driving, and that his actions were solely in self-defense against her violent actions against him. We are unopposed to the stay away order. Mr. Tanner has informed me that he has moved his belongings from that residence. He does not want any contact with her. Therefore, we are unopposed to the no contact order. And let's see, we are unopposed to the 1-day anger awareness course. And That basically concludes my recommendations, Your Honor. So I am asking for a signature bond. If Your Honor determines that he is ineligible, then a bond of no more than $200 toward all 3 counts. Thank you.
Thank you. On position 16, the first count of battery, that's going to be a $1,500 surety bond, and the cruelty is going to be a $500 surety bond. That case has a $2,000 surety bond. No contact with Kiana Moss, to stay away from her residence and wherever she happens to be, and no contact with also her biological child, MT, no illegal drugs, no weapons, and no firearms. With regards to position 17, bond is set at $2,000. That's a surety bond. Same conditions, no contact with Kiana Moss, no contact with her biological child, stay away from wherever she happens to be, including her residence, and no illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. In both cases, the reset date is going to be January 25th, 2022 at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next is position 8, Franklin.
All right, we have Mr. Raheem Franklin, case number 22 CR 0001338F. Mr. Franklin has been accused of battery, domestic violence from an April 29, 2021 incident. Mr. Franklin, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Bianca Thomas. Is that correct?
No, Your Honor, this
No,
is a
Your Honor.
conflict case.
I beg your pardon. Is there private counsel for this case?
This
Good
is a conflict
afternoon.
case.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm Maureen McLeod,
All
and
right,
I will
Ms.
be
Bianca?
representing Mr. Franklin.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. So first, what we're going to do is hear from our pretrial officer with regards to any GCIC matters. Mr. Tucson?
21 total. Last arrest was 2018 for failure to appear. It was for driving, giving false name, marijuana possession. He had a 2015 probation violation for battery, simple battery, family violence. He went to felony earlier. That's a $25,000 bond. 2014 failure to appear for reckless conduct, simple battery, battery against pregnant, misdemeanor, high and aggravated. Let me see. He got a no-load simple battery obstruction from 2014 out of Riverdale.
Okay.
I got a 2011 simple battery family violence that was dead docket.
That was in Riverdale?
No, that was APD. The simple battery that was dead docket.
Okay.
All right. I got a 2011 battery family violence, criminal damage to property first degree. They both were dismissed. And some shoplifting. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Arnold, what's the state's position on bond for Mr. Franklin?
Yes, Your Honor. So the state is recommending a $4,000 surety bond for the battery family violence. We're asking that there be no further contact with Miss Dewan Howe. Dewan spelled D-E-J-U-A-N, Howe spelled traditionally, that there be a one-day anger awareness course and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Your Honor, we are requesting the stated bond as this all happened because the defendant did not want to give Miss Howe her own car back. And so the defendant grabbed her by her hair and pulled some of her braids out of her head. The defendant also left a mark on the left side of Miss Howe's face during the altercation. In addition, we believe the defendant will reoffend based off of his history. The defendant has 21 cycles, and I will just highlight a few. You've already heard from pretrial, but he was convicted in 2014 for the simple battery, family violence and obstruction from Clayton County. He was also arrested in March of 2011 for the battery, family violence and criminal trespass, which was dismissed, but it did involve the same victim in this case. He was also arrested in 2011 for the simple battery, family violence, and again in 2012 for another battery, family violence, and 2013 for a simple battery, family violence, Your Honor. Finally, we do believe that the defendant could pose a potential flight risk as he was arrested for FTAs in 2012, 14, and 2018. And as pretrial has mentioned, the defendant does have an open case for the aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, case number 22CP205718. So for these reasons, Your Honor, we are requesting the $4,000 surety bond with the conditions as stated.
Thank you. Ms. McClure?
Your Honor, my client is 28 years old. He is married to the alleged victim. They have 6 minor children together, the eldest of which is 12 years old and the youngest 3 years old. He has told me that she is currently pregnant. The incident out of which this warrant for his arrest arose happened in 2021, I believe April, Your Honor. Since then, they have continued to maintain a relationship, and he has informed me that she is currently pregnant with child number 7. Apparently, they have known each other for a very long time, and it does appear that they do have a volatile relationship, but they have made 6 children together already, and they're about to make a 7th based on what he has told me. He tells me also that he takes care of these children. He gives Miss Howell for their support approximately $1,200 each month. He's working and has been working with the same company for the past 4 years, Your Honor. The court will note that the allegations concerning previous arrests, the last one concerning domestic violence was, I believe, in 2012. He and Miss Howell have known each other since they were young people. And as I pointed out to the court earlier, he did not even know that this warrant was out there. They have continued to maintain a relationship. He tells me that he sees the children at least every other weekend, and he does see Miss Howell, Your Honor. So obviously she is not afraid of him, or else I don't believe they would be making baby number 7. He needs to work, Your Honor, so that he can support these children. So I would ask the court to consider giving him a signature bond, Your Honor. And if the court believes he's not eligible for that, to give him as low a bond as possible. He is currently living with his mother. She lives on Campbellton Road and been living there for a while. He himself was born here in Atlanta. He has ties to the community, Your Honor. And I don't believe it.
Yeah, Ms. McClure, you mentioned that he's married to Miss Howell. I didn't say that in the warrant. Are they legally married, or are they just were they cohabitating or sharing? And
he told me that they got married in 2018. That was what he told me. And they have had a long standing.
You would have a marriage license to attest to that fact?
That I don't know, Your Honor, but he told me they got married in 2018, but they had been together for a long time. Are they presently
estranged then, if he's living separately from her and only seeing the kids on weekends?
I believe they are estranged to a certain extent, but they certainly are continuing to have sexual intercourse, Your Honor, because she is pregnant by him, he tells me.
Well, okay, understood that part. Bond is going to be set at $3,000 is a surety bond. No contact with Dejuan Howell unless, number one, he has a valid marriage certificate. In that case, then he can seek an amendment to the, no contact with Dejuan Howell. The marriage certificate has no bearing on his contact with Dejuan Howell. He shall have no contact with any of the children that he has with Miss Howell, unless, of course, he's got a marriage certificate. In that case, then I will allow a third-party transfer for visitation of the children. With regards to if he does not have a marriage certificate and if he is not married to Miss Howell, then he can seek visitation and custody with all 6 or 7 of the children he shares with Miss Howell through a properly filed legitimation action. no illegal drugs, no weapons, no firearms, no alcohol. And he needs to stay away from all locations where Ms. Howell happens to be, as well as her children, which will include her residence, her place of employment, or wherever she happens to be standing, at least 200 yards away. He cannot communicate with her in any way, form, or manner, including no communication from the jail. We will see Mr. Franklin. If he doesn't make bond, we will see him on January 25th, 2022. Ms. McLeod, if you don't mind, could you please submit an entry of appearance? You can email that to holly.bridgewater@fultoncountyga.gov, and we'll be
I will
glad
do
to
that before the end of the day, Your Honor.
Excellent. Thank you. That concludes this case. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Position 1, Belcher.
We have Kevin Belcher, accused of simple battery on January 10th, 2022, in case number 22 CR 0000128C. Mr. Belcher, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Thomas? Oh, Ms. McLeod? Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Ms. McLeod, are you new to the Public Defender's Office?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay, well, welcome. I'm sorry. I don't think I've had the pleasure of you being in the
This
seat
is
calendar.
my first day, Your Honor. I am
All
an
right.
experienced public defender, but this is my first day in the Fulton County system.
Well, I feel very honored then. Thank you very much, Ms. McLeod.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
thank you. Okay, let's see. Ms. McLeod is going to be your attorney. And let's see then. Mr. Tucson, any priors, please?
13 total. 2019 shoplifting was the last. 2019 simple battery dismissed. And a 2014 probation violation. Underlying charge was ag assault and a sexual battery conviction. 2012 probation violation, terrorist threats, obstruction, ag assault. 2011 theft of lost and mislaid property conviction.
That's good. Thank you. Ms. Goodry, what's your state's recommendation for simple battery?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon. The state is recommending a $1,000 surety bond, a stay away from MARTA, just the 5 points location, no further contact with Michael Cosby, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. The reason is because the facts do not state whether or not the victim and the defendant in this case are have some type of relationship, and we were unable to get in contact with the victim, and we want to ensure his safety. Also, given his criminal history, even though the last conviction was 2011, he did have that 2019 simple battery that he was arrested on that was dismissed. And that's why the state's recommending such a bond.
Okay. Ms. McCoy?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 50 years old, Your Honor. As the state has pointed out, the last time he was convicted of anything was in 2011. What my client told me was that he was sick. He was going home because he had been ill at work. He had been vomiting, and he was sent home. And on his way home, he was accosted by a total stranger on the MARTA train who hit him. And that was the basis of this simple battery charge. The other person was also arrested. I'd like to point out to the court. The other person had an outstanding warrant also for Clayton County, and apparently was taken there. But my client did not initiate that, and he does say that there were witnesses who will state the fact that that was how it happened, Judge. He is employed. He works on Napa. He lives in the Metro Atlanta area, and there has been no conviction since 2011. I believe, Your Honor, that he's a good candidate for a signature bond, given his age, the current position, and what he alleges took place when he was arrested.
Thank you. Bond is set at $1,500. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services, no contact with Michael Cosby, and to stay away from all MARTA property in accordance with any current MARTA suspensions. I'm assuming he's got the Fairburn Road is a good address.
Yes, Your Honor, the Fairburn Road address, Mr.
Mr. Belcher, is the Fairburn Road a good address?
Yes,
For
ma'am.
you?
I've been staying there for 5 years, ma'am.
All right, good. You'll get your summons to come back to court in the future. Please make sure you don't miss it. You need to report to pretrial once a month. And if there is any outstanding MARTA suspensions against you, you have to stay away from all MARTA property. If you return to MARTA and there's a suspension and you get arrested again for trespass, you could lose this signature bond. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. I was told by the arresting officer there wasn't no suspension because like I stated, I had a witness. I was watching my TV.
I just want to know whether you have a suspension. Let's stick to that topic.
No, ma'am. They told me I wasn't suspended because I had to use model to go to work. I work in Norcross.
Then I would recommend you contact the headquarters office at Lindbergh Plaza just to confirm that before you step on their property. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. I still had to get my property from them. They took my book bag, my work stuff.
You can take a police officer with you to go to the MARTA office and confirm, number one, whether there's a suspension, and two, to retrieve your property.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Next case, Francois.
Position 9, folks.
We have Nigel Folks, accused of battery, domestic violence in case number 22 CR 000129G from a January 10, 2022 incident. Mr. Folks, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Ms. McCloyd. Mr. Tucson, any priors?
Fifth arrest. 2020 simple battery was the last. He got an open simple battery against a person who is 65 years or older or pregnant. It's 19 CR 005-796G. We got an open ag stalking in Superior Court. It's 20 CP 190614. And I think those are the same victims from the 2020 and 2019. And he got a shoplifter from 2019 to 2018 arrest. That's it.
Thank you.
Your Honor,
Hello?
I'm not his attorney.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Wanda Gant. Ms. Wanda Gant is Mr. Folks' attorney. Thank you. And Mr. Long?
Thank you, Your Honor. The state's recommendation in this case is a $5,000 cash-only bond. No further contact with Kamisha Ragland. That's CAMESHA. Ragland is RAGLAND. Stay away from 3200 Cushman Circle, Southwest, apartment J12, Atlanta. That appeared based on the report to be their joint address, although I would note that the pretrial report indicated that the defendant had another address on Largo Lane. We would also request a 12-week anger management course, no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or firearms, a parenting class, no contact with their 3 children in common. And the basis for our recommendation is, as pretrial stated, there are 2 open cases with the same victim. We have the 2019 simple battery against pregnant person, where it is alleged that the defendant was throwing pots and pans at her while she was holding their minor daughter. He was released on that case on a signature bond. And then on the 2020 aggravated stalking case, that is still a CP case number, but reflects as open. It appears based on my research into the case that the district attorney is planning to refile it as aggravated assault due to the allegation in that case of him applying pressure to Ms. Ragland's neck with his hands. And in that case, he appeared to have posted a $25,000 surety bond. So based on those 2 open cases, we are, of course, very concerned about the risk for reoffending, the danger to Ms. Ragland, also about the children, including potential psychological harm to the children, since they have seen violent behavior between their parents in not 1, but now 2 cases. We have had contact with Ms. Ragland. I do believe she at least was on the Zoom. I'm not sure if she still is. But she indicated that she is not in fear. She wants no violent contact. She's okay with the defendant returning home. She does want the defendant to take anger management classes. And she indicates that they've been stressed out due to the recent baby and her recently being shot. She also indicated that the defendant did not actually put his hands around her neck and choke her as the warrant states, and that instead he grabbed her collar of her shirt and pressed his hands against her neck very briefly and had scratches on her neck. I'm concerned about the cycle of violence because it appears that there's been not only multiple instances, but the victim in the case was initially reporting the incident as a choking, which is the word used in the warrant, and is now using very different language to describe what happened. For all those reasons, we are asking for the $5,000 cash only bond. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Nigel Folks is 26 years old. He is a lifelong Atlanta resident. He has 3 children, 3 of which he shares with Ms. Ragland. A newborn son, is 3 weeks old. He also has 2 minor children, ages 2 and 4. He completed high school, and he currently he is employed at FedEx as a ground delivery driver. He has been in that position for the last 1.5 years. In fact, he is due back at work today. I am requesting a surety bond of no more than $1,000 if Your Honor determines that he is ineligible for a signature bond. Mr. Folks disputes the allegations. We also heard the state recant some of or modify some of the complaining witnesses' testimony. Furthermore, I would ask the court to consider a no violent contact order in light of Ms. Kamisha's Ragland. I understand that Mr. Folks has 2 open cases. However, he is presumed innocent in those cases, as he is in this case as well. I am opposed to a 12-week anger management course and would recommend just a 1-day anger management program. And of course, Your Honor, a third-party transfer if Your Honor is so inclined. Thank you.
Thank you. With regards to this third case, open case with Mr. Folks, allegedly involving the same victim within a span of less than 3 years, the bond is going to be set at a $3,000 cash bond only. No contact with Kamisha Ragland to stay away from 3200 Cushman Circle in Atlanta, Georgia. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and no firearms. I'm not going to issue any therapeutic counseling anger management programs at the present time. Given the frequency and number of cases open, I think this is going to require other kind of programs involved. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Next court date is January 25th, 2022 at 9 a.m. Mr. Folks, no contact with Ms. Ragland includes no communication from the Fulton County Jail, no communication through a third party, no contact through any kind of phone or computer device, and that you need to stay away from any of the locations where she happens to be. I'm not going to allow any third party transfer of the children at the present time. If Mr. Folks seeks to have visitation or custody of any of the children, he would need to file a duly filed a legitimation action with Superior Court to establish visitation and custody by court order. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Position 12, Mr. Kramer is next.
Sorry, Francois, could you repeat that name again, please?
Mr. Kramer, position 12.
12, thank you. It's a pages over here. Mr. Frederick Kramer, Kramer with a K, is accused of simple battery domestic violence from a January 10th, 2022 incident, and the case has been accused under 22 CR 0001368. Mr. Kramer, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you at the present time is Ms. McLeod.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And with regards to this particular case, Mr. Tucson, do we have any priors for Mr. Kramer?
This 9th arrest. Last was in September, possession of meth. And that's open out of Cobb. Before that was a 01 arrest for drugs, dismissed. Everything else was in the 90s.
That's good. Thank you. Mr. Long?
Thank you, Your Honor. The state in this case is recommending a $2,000 surety, no further contact with Erica Jones, 1 day anger awareness, no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or firearms, and a stay away from her residence. I was not able to confirm where her residence is. We did request the report and we did attempt to contact her, but we were unable to do so. It does list a La Quinta Inn and Suites as the incident location. And I believe that they had a listed address for the defendant of a Lake Latimer Drive, so somewhere else. The basis for our recommendation is he does have cycles back to 1995 with drug-related charges, and he does have that new open arrest out of Cobb County for the possession of meth. He has a prior failure to appear in 2001 out of Fulton County, and based on the facts, especially with it occurring while being observed by Sergeant McNamara, he's actually witnessing the battery occur. Because of those facts, Your Honor, we're requesting that $2,000 surety bond.
You mean Sergeant McNamara?
Yes, Sergeant McNamara. Yes, sorry.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. McCloy?
Your Honor, Mr. Kramer has not been involved in any kind of criminal contact since the 90s. When he was arrested for the alleged drug possession, he was in a vehicle with some other people, and everyone in the vehicle was arrested because a small amount of meth was found and no one claimed it. So he is presumed innocent and he has not been convicted so far. Mr. Kramer and the alleged victim were in a relationship for the past 2.5 years. And an incident came up. He was concerned about his 18-year-old daughter. He does have 2 children, an 18-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old son. His ex-wife had called him about a relationship his daughter was having, and he was a little upset, and he was discussing it with Erica, and she got a little upset. He has absolutely no history of domestic violence, Your Honor. He tells me that his ex-wife, who lives in Kennesaw, if he receives a bond, she is willing to keep him in her house because they still have a great relationship, Your Honor. So this is not what one would expect if someone is an abuser. He has absolutely no history of that, Your Honor. He does work. He has been working for the same company since 2014, doing the same sort of work he has done pretty much all his adult life. He's 44 years old, Your Honor. So I think he is a suitable candidate for a signature bond. And I would ask the court to consider giving him a signature bond under these circumstances, Your Honor.
Mr. Kramer, your bond is going to be set at $3,500. It's going to be a signature bond for pretrial services. No further violent contact with Erica Jones. Does he have a separate residence?
He will be living with his ex-wife, Your Honor.
All right.
She lives in Kennesaw.
They can reside together. However, while he's released on a pretrial services bond, he needs to report to pretrial once a month. No illegal drugs, no alcoholic beverages, no weapons, and no firearms. That means you can't have a firearm in the home in which you reside, in any vehicle, on your person, and so forth. While you're out on the bond as well, you will complete a 1-day anger awareness program. It's a program offered by pretrial services, and they will instruct you in when and where that program will take place. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
You need to maintain a correct address with the clerk's office so that you will get summons to come back to court. If you fail to appear, a bench warrant will be issued for your arrest and the signature bond will disappear to thin air.
Yes, Your Honor. The 62 Lake Latimer, Kennesaw is my address.
All right.
Yes,
thank you.
Perjured.
Yes,
Thank you.
perjured.
Okay, go back to the line.
Next case, please.
Position 6, Daudil.
I have Mr. Torrent Montavious Daudil, accused of battery domestic violence from a December 5th, 2021 incident. in case number 22 CR 000-137E. Mr. Daudil, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and the attorney representing you at the present time is Ms. Wanda Gant. Mr. Tucson?
17 total. I got a 2015 simple battery conviction. Last arrest was November 2020, battery family violence. He had an open probation warrant. Let me check on this last arrest real quick. Yeah, that battery family violence was a conviction. 2019, failure to appear, not prosecuted. You got the ag assault, criminal trespass, possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission. The ag assault and the possession of a knife or firearm was non-pros. 2018, obstruction, abandonment of dangerous drugs, possession of a Schedule 1 or 2 controlled substance, that's 3 counts, and sale of marijuana, and possession of drug-related objects, that's an arrest. I don't see a disposition for those.
That's good, thank you. Mr. Daudil, I missed one other case that you had with us. There was another case, the one I just mentioned is from a December 5th, 2021 incident. The second case is from a January 10th, 2022 incident. The charge is also battery domestic violence. The case number is 22 CR 000-135E. So I do beg your pardon, we have 2 open pending cases. And Ms. Arnold, what is your bond recommendation for both of them?
Yes, Your Honor. For the incident that occurred on December 5th, 2021 for battery family violence, we are requesting a $4,500 surety bond, that there be no further contact with Ms. Tamika Cobbs, that there be a stay away from 2400 Campbellton Road, CAMPBELLTON, Southwest Apartment C5 in Atlanta, a 1-day anger awareness course, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. For the incident that happened on January 10th, 2022, the state is requesting a $4,000 surety bond, that there be no further contact with Ms. Tamika Cobbs, stay away from the 2400 Campbellton Road, 1-day anger awareness, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Your Honor, we do believe that the defendant will reoffend, as we are before the court on 2 cases involving Ms. Tamika Cobbs. Here in this case on December 5th, Ms. Cobbs woke up the defendant while he was sleeping in the front seat of her vehicle. And in response, the defendant woke up swinging his fist and hit Ms. Cobbs in the upper right side of her chest, causing swelling. In the January 10th incident, the defendant asked Ms. Cobbs for $20 to leave the location. She did not respond by giving him that $20 in a timely manner. And when the defendant asked her a third time, the defendant grabbed Ms. Cobbs by the neck and pushed her towards the ground, leaving visible marks on her neck and dark coloration. Your Honor, we believe that the defendant will also reoffend based on the fact that he has a simple battery conviction from 2015 and a conviction from 2020 for 3 counts of battery. We also believe the defendant is a flight risk, as he has FTAs from 2009 and the last one in 2019. Your Honor, we were able to reach out to the victim, Ms. Cobbs. She did say that she does not fear the defendant, but she also does not want him to come back to the home. She stated that they were dating but are no longer together at this time. She did confirm that the defendant did choke her. And I do believe she will be on, I do believe she said she would be on.
She is. Yes.
Yes, Your Honor. So for these reasons, we are requesting that bond, and you can address Ms. Cobbs when you feel it is the right time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Tamika Cobbs, my name is Judge Lal. If you would like to contribute to this hearing, please unmute your screen. No? Okay. Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Torrent, Daudil, is 31 years old. He's born and raised in Atlanta. He is the proud father of 5 children, ranging in ages from 8 to 15. He completed high school along with some college in the area of audio engineering. He just recently obtained employment at McDonald's. That's a part-time job. He also has been working as a contractor for People Ready for the past 10 years. He advised me that he is unable to contribute more than $500 toward bond. Therefore, I am asking for a signature bond. If Your Honor determines that he is ineligible, then a surety bond of no more than $500 at this time.
And I'm going to pause for just a second. We seem to have lost courtroom 2. There we are. Okay, courtroom 2 is back. I'm sorry. So you're asking for no more than a $500 payment, and what else?
We are also unopposed to the stay away and we are unopposed to the no further contact order as well, but would ask for a third-party transfer and a one-time law enforcement escort to retrieve any belongings from the residence.
All right. It appears that Mr. Daudil has left the screen. All right. On the position of 6, with regard to the December 5th, 2021 incident, the bond for the battery domestic violence is going to be a $1,000 surety bond. With regards to the battery domestic violence from January 10th, 2022, that's going to be a $2,500 surety bond. His total bond for both cases is going to be $3,500. It's a surety bond. No contact with Tamika Cobbs, to stay away 200 yards away from 2400 Campbellton Road in Atlanta, Georgia. No illegal drugs, no weapons, and no firearms, and no alcoholic beverages. Reset date is going to be January 25th, 2022.
Your Honor, the one-time law enforcement escort.
Does he have personal belongings there? I didn't think he lived there. Ms. Cobbs? Ms. Cobbs, does Mr. Daudil have personal property at your place?
Yes, ma'am, he does.
All right. Then I will allow a one-time visit to the location with the company of a law enforcement officer to retrieve his personal belongings. The visit cannot exceed 2 hours. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, courtroom 2, who do we have next?
That was our last case, Judge, for position 14. They waived their appearance.
Position 14. Moving on. I have Ivan J. Morris, case number 22 CR 000098F. Who is counsel for that case?
I am, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Gant, can we address that towards the end of the calendar?
I'm sorry?
May we address that towards the end of the calendar?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Francois, otherwise, I think we're done then.
Yes, we're completed.
All right, thank you. South Annex, Deputy Milton, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. We have position 4, Ms. Chandler in the chair.
All right, thank you. All right, this is the announcement for folks at the South Annex. This is a first appearance calendar for cases that have been recently accused and brought to the Fulton County State Court. These are active criminal pending criminal cases against you with misdemeanor offenses. Please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and a member from the Public Defender's Office will represent you. Ms. Armani Janae Candler is case number 22 CR 000133A, charged with battery domestic violence from a January 10th, 2022 incident. Ms. Candler, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Thomas. Mr. Tucson, any priors, please?
No.
All right. Ms. Arnold?
Yes, Your Honor. So the state is requesting a $3,000 surety bond, that there be no further contact with Ms. Lauren Haynes. Stay away from 1989 Cheshire Bridge Road, Cheshire spelled Cheshire, in Atlanta, and that there be no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Your Honor, in this incident, this happened on January 10th, 2022. where Ms. Lauren Haynes advised that her wife, the defendant in this case, were in an argument over car keys. The defendant came into the bathroom to confront her. Ms. Haynes says that she went to the adjacent room, which was a closet, and tried to close the door. The defendant was able to push the door back. During the altercation, both parties were pushing on the door, and the defendant was able to strike Ms. Haynes in the face, causing a laceration on her lip. The defendant states that she tried to push Ms. Haynes with her shoulder, but it did not touch her, but she then pushed her for personal space, causing her to fall backwards. Your Honor, so based on the facts of this case, we are requesting the $3,000 surety bond with the conditions as stated.
Thank you. Ms. Gant?
This is my case, Your Honor.
Oh, Ms. Thomas, excuse me, sorry.
Ms. Candler is 23 years of age. She expressed that she's been a Georgia resident for the past 2 years. She expressed she doesn't have any family, but she does have friends here. She's originally from Chicago. She did complete high school, and she is gainfully employed at Phoenix Internet, where she's been working for the past 3 years. And she also does DoorDash, where she's been doing that for the past 2 months. We are unopposed to the no further contact. Ms. Candler expressed she does not wish to have any contact with Ms. Haynes, and she does plan on leaving the residence. She does have an alternative address. We are asking for a one-time escort so that she can collect her remaining belongings. But as far as bond, I am requesting a signature bond on her behalf, or a bond amount no more than $1,000.
Bond is set at $2,500. It's a signature bond through pretrial services. No contact with Carly J. Haynes, to stay away from 1989 Cheshire Bridge Road in Atlanta, Georgia. She may return one time only with a police officer to retrieve her personal belongings. While she's released on a signature bond, she will undergo a one-day anger awareness program as administered by pretrial. She's to report to pretrial once a month. If she gets arrested again, or if she fails to appear when summoned by court, her signature bond will be converted to a surety bond or a cash bond. Do you understand, Ms. Candler?
Yes.
That concludes this case.
Your Honor, I'll put a message in the chat regarding position number 2. Ms. Thomas spoke to her and she waived her appearance also.
All right, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, we have
case.
position 15, Ms. Smith.
Miss Misty Lasagna Smith is case 22 CR 0000140Y, accused of simple battery domestic violence from a May 16, 2020 incident. Ms. Smith, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. McCloyd.
Yes,
Mr. Tucson, any priors, please?
Oh.
Ms. Duncan, what's your recommendation?
Yes, in this case, the state is recommending a $3,000 surety bond and stay away from the incident location, no further contact with the victim, and third-party contact for children, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and one-day anger awareness. The state is recommending this because this incident took place at 3909 Campbellton Road. This incident resulted from a verbal conversation that turned violent at the account of Ms. Smith, the defendant in this case, when she pushed the victim, Mr. Spencer Lovejoy. That's Spencer, common spelling, Lovejoy, common spelling, Lovejoy, who is the parent of the same child and other person living in the same household. There was a verbal conversation about why the defendant in this case did not return home from work when she was supposed to. And after the victim in this case asked her those questions, she pushed him and walked away. She told him that she was going to take the children and leave. The victim in this case, Mr. Lovejoy, did not appreciate that sentiment, so he followed her to the living room and the altercation continued. Eventually, the altercation escalated and the defendant in this case punched the victim in the face. He did punch back. However, he left the location after that because he did not want to get in trouble. and he did not come back to the location. There is mention of weapons being drawn in this altercation. However, the facts are not clear as to who drew what and when and where. Both parties sustained injuries. However, due to the violent nature and reaction of Ms. Smith to the victim's questions about her whereabouts, we are requesting the bond as stated and the conditions.
All right. And Ms. McLeod, do you know if your client plans to leave the Campbellton Road residence?
Your Honor, she has not been living at the Campbellton Road address since the incident occurred. She actually lives in East Point with her sister.
And does she have the child?
They share the child, Your Honor. He has the child for 3 days. She has the child for 4 days, and they do that through his mother, who is a third party. I would like the court to know, Your Honor, that my client, who has never been arrested, this is the only incident she had. What happened was that I'm
going to grant a signature bond, so I don't need to go. I've already read the documents, but I was just curious to know about the child's situation. And,
yes, Your Honor, but he did break her jaw, Your Honor, and she had to have surgery. He hit her so hard, he broke her jaw. I think this is significant, but she has been away from him since then. She's actually the victim in this case, Your Honor.
So did that I didn't see anything about that injury from the 2020 incident. Did that happen subsequent to that?
No, Your Honor, it happened the 20. She was taken by ambulance to Grady, and she had surgery a week later for her broken jaw.
Bond is set at $1,500. It's a signature bond through pretrial services. No further violent contact with Mr. Spencer Lovejoy. Continue with the third party transfer of any children they have. No illegal drugs, no weapons, and no firearm. Please maintain a current address with the clerk's office so that you can get your summons to appear in court the next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mhm.
Good evening, everybody. May we be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, yes, Deputy Milton. May I just inquire? So Ms. Braxton has waived her appearance, so we're going to address that. And Miguel Fernandez, do you have any updates on that case?
He's still at Grady, Your Honor.
Okay, so this is going to be reset to tomorrow, January 12th, see calendar. So this is a Grady reset. Okay.
Yes.
And Erica Marie Jones.
That's also a Grady reset.
Grady reset to January 12th, 2022. All right, Deputy Milton, I think that answers all our questions. Thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow. Take care. Be safe. All right, moving back to position 2, Shantae Marie Braxton, case number 22 CR 000131G. Ms. Braxton is not present. I understand that she's still at the Grady Hospital, but counsel, who is that going to be? Ms. Thomas?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you have waived her appearance for this?
I haven't, I submitted it.
Okay, so Mr. Tucson, any priors on Ms. Braxton?
No.
All right. Ms. Goodry, I do understand this is a Grady Hospital situation. That's correct? And what's your bond recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. She currently has $1,000 surety bond for the criminal trespass. That event occurred yesterday. We're recommending $1,000 signature bond, a stay away from Grady Detention Hospital unless she's being there to be treated. And that address is 80 Jess Hill Drive, Southeast Atlanta, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. The reason for our recommendation is because she has no criminal history and the facts are very minimum. She stated that she didn't want to leave because she had nowhere to go. So that's why we're recommending a signature.
The copy is good there. $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from Grady Hospital unless seeking emergency medical treatment or she has an appointment with a health provider.
Oh, and Bianca, we're also recommending her to diversion. So I'll send you that paperwork as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on, we are going to go to Mr. Ivan Jones, Ivan Morris, case 22 CR 000098F, in which Mr. Morris has been accused of simple battery domestic violence from September 21st, 2021. And I understand that he's not present either. Counsel is Wanda Gant. Ms. Gant, do you waive his appearance?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. Tucson, any priors, please?
This is fourth arrest, 2019 battery family violence, aggravated assault. Hold on.
Is that an open case or with us? I didn't see one.
Let me see. It was out of Forest Park, so that's Clayton County. He has history out of Mississippi, 2015, simple domestic violence, and a 2016 embezzlement. That's it.
All right, thank you. Ms. Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor. This case took place on September 21st, 2021. The state is recommending a $6,000 surety bond to stay away from the incident location or wherever the victim is. No further contact with the victim in this case. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and a one-day anger awareness. The victim in this case is a Miss Jasmine Jones. Both are common spelling, and they were living together at the time of this incident. In this incident, the victim, Miss Jones, was living with Mr. Morris, and he became upset because she did not want to have a conversation with him. So when she did not respond, he went to where she was and he grabbed her by a shirt and slammed her on the ground, and then he choked her. He choked her not only once, Your Honor, he choked her on 2 occasions, once in the bathroom, and at that time, she stated to our victim advocate, who made contact with her, that she was choked until she passed out. He told her while they were in the bathroom that he is not the person to be played with and that he would kill her. She went on to say, my apologies, that only God can kill me, so go ahead and kill me. And that's when he began to choke her until she passed out. He was still holding her before she passed out, and she tried to scream, but she could not. When he let her go, she came to and she tried to grab her pants, but apparently he had taken them. He took them and he threw them. Once he grabbed her by the neck, he threw against the wall again, and the altercation de-escalated. He went to the room to calm down, and once he was asleep, the victim in this case took her children and left the house. The state is particularly concerned due to the danger to this victim in particular, because the violent nature of this offense and the history of the defendant in this case. As a matter of fact, I wanted to clarify the record. As pretrial stated, there were some cases that were actually he said they were out of Forest Park. However, those are open cases with Clayton County. We made contact with them yesterday, and they're aggravated assault and aggravated battery. However, they are not against this victim. And the charges were filed as early as February 2020, and we did locate a wanted notice out of South Fulton, but I'm assuming that it is for the cases that are now with the Clayton County Court. It's for these reasons that the state is requesting the $6,000 surety and the conditions as stated.
All right. Ms. Gant?
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Ivan Morris is 30 years old. He was born in Mississippi. However, he has been in the Atlanta area for the past 5 years. He obtained a GED, and he currently is taking classes at Jackson State University in communications. He is unemployed at this time. However, the last time he worked was about 2 months prior to this incident. Therefore, he is unable to pay more than $250 toward bond. He denies the allegations, and regarding the 2019 battery family violence case, as we heard from the state, this is a different set of facts, different victim, open case. Therefore, he's presumed innocent, and I ask that Your Honor take that into consideration. As I understand it, this is Mr. Morris's residence. So therefore, we are opposed to the stay away, but unopposed to the no contact order. And for these reasons, I am requesting the signature bond. If he's ineligible, then a bond of no more than $250. Thank you.
Bond is set at 2,500. It's a surety bond. No contact with Jasmine Jones, and no illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons, no firearms. His next court date is January 25th, 2022. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, if we can just go down the calendar with regards to position 1, Kevin Belcher is a $1,500 signature bond through pre-trial. Position 2, we've waived her appearance. It's a $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Position 3, Burnett is a $21,000 surety bond. That case is reset to January 13 at 9 a.m. this Thursday.
Your Honor, I do apologize because I thought for Burnett, he also had, it was a $10,000 signature, so it's split bond.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I said 21 surety, excuse me. Reckless conduct is 10,000, willful is 1,000, that's the surety bond. And the reckless conduct, the second count is a $10,000 signature bond through jail. You're correct. That's a $21,000 split bond, out of which 11,000 is the surety bond. Okay, and that one's reset to January 13, this Thursday. Position 4, Candler is a 2,500 signature bond through pretrial. Position 5 is a 2,500 surety bond. Position 6 is a $1,000 surety bond. It's the same defendant. Reset date is January 25th. Position 7 is reset to tomorrow's C calendar. Position 8 is a $3,000 surety bond. Reset date is January 25th. Position 9 is a $3,000 cash bond only. Reset date is January 25th. Position 10 is a Grady reset to C calendar, January 12th. Position 11, Joyner, is a 3,500 split bond. The drugs.
How much is good on that, Judge?
The drugs is 1,500 good bond. The marijuana is a 500 signature bond through the jail. The carrying of weapons a $1,500 good bond. So it's a 3,500 split bond. 3,000 is the surety bond. Reset date is January 25th. Position 12, Kramer is a 3,500 signature bond through pretrial. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. Per judge. Position 13 is a 5,000 signature bond through pretrial. And position 14 is a 2,500 surety bond. Reset dates January 25th. Position 15 is a $1,500 signature bond through pretrial services. And position 16 is a $2,000 surety bond. And 17 is a $2,000 surety bond. Both these cases are reset to January 25th. Position 18 is also involving Breeze Tanner. That case is null pros. Yeah. Okay. Go Dogs. And I missed it. I cannot believe I missed it.
Yes, go Dogs.
All right.
You here tomorrow?
No, I'll be here Wednesday.
There is Wednesday.